70 unique goods, ever-evolving production chains, and dynamic global markets that will impact the world as it evolves. Your economy is integrated into the location and population mechanics in EU5. The foremost example of this is the production of goods. In EU5, there are two types of goods: raw materials and finished goods. Raw materials are extracted from resource gathering operations, or RGOs for short. Every location has one potential raw material, and could be anything from lumber to stone to grain, amber, copper, gold, and even elephants. These RGOs will be worked by the population living in that location. Furthermore, the type of location will affect the amount of goods that can be extracted by the RGO. For example, a city will have a lower RGO cap, while a rural location will have a much higher cap, meaning resources like lumber and grain will be more efficiently produced in rural locations than in city centers. EU5 has hundreds of buildings. Some buildings, such as castles, focus on improving a location's strategic value by adding a zone of control. Other buildings, like guilds, look to produce goods and improve the economy. Some can only be built in rural locations, while others will require a town or city, maybe even a coast, or some even in foreign locations. Geography is an important factor and limitation when it comes to building your new buildings. The goods produced by a building will be impacted by local factors like materials and labor, but also the market availability of those. The effectiveness of a building is tied to the lowest available percentage of its required good. If you only have 50% of the needed lumber, the building can only operate at a maximum of 50% capacity. Buildings also have production methods, which dictate which goods are required for operation and which output will be created. These methods can be automated based on resource availability and profitability. Moreover, buildings that aren't profitable can be shuttered, and POPs will then go work in other buildings. But you can choose to subsidize buildings if you need the goods they produce, even if it's not directly profitable to you. Your population is crucial to your economy, as not only are they paying taxes, but they are also providing the labor to both RGOs and to your buildings. The type of building will dictate which demographic of your population is required to work it. Many of the buildings that produce goods require burghers, while others will require laborers, soldiers, clergy, or nobles. Social mobility is also connected to your buildings, as fairly often when a new building is built, your POPs will need to promote from peasants to fill the new type required. The promotion speed of your population will also vary from location to location. POPs in a city will promote faster than rural POPs. The availability of jobs and other buildings like libraries and universities in the locations will also affect POP promotion speed. It will also vary between POP types, with laborers and soldiers promoting more quickly than nobility and clergy. So when you're navigating goods production in EU5, you'll need to plan around what's naturally available within your borders and market and your workforce. But you're not the only one who will be building in your nation. Your various estates may spend their accrued wealth on buildings that benefit them, such as the burghers building manor houses or the nobles implementing tolls on the lands that they own. Not to mention, foreign organizations such as other nations, banks, or even religious orders can invest in buildings in your locations. Your locations, your population, buildings, and the goods you produce will all be connected into our market system. Unlike the static trade nodes in EU4, EU5 uses dynamic markets, which will change and alter over time based on a number of factors. Early game, that will be primarily proximity, where locations will be connected to the market center that is the closest and most powerful to them. The market centers are regional hubs where goods flow based on supply and demand. You can even try to increase the pull of a certain market by increasing that market's market attraction, a value in game that increases the likelihood of new locations joining that market. All of the goods that are produced in every location in the world, whether they are raw materials that are gathered by the laborers or produced in workshops and factories, are added to the supply pool for the market that they reside in. Supply and demand is a very important part of understanding markets. All locations will belong to a market, and all of the goods from those locations will make up the market supply. On the demand side, you'll have the goods required for your buildings to function, the needs of your population, and the requirements of your military. Once the goods are in the market, a nation or its people can buy them or utilize those resources. The amount of goods actually available in a location will be dictated by that location's market access. Market access is basically how easy or difficult it is for the location to access the market capital. Locations with high market access will be able to purchase goods before locations with low market access. To trade between two markets, you utilize your trade capacity to import or export goods to a market within your range. Each trade created uses trade capacity depending on distance and volume, and some goods require more trade capacity to move between markets, like stone requiring more trade capacity to move, while spices are cheaper to move. Trading priority is set by trade advantage, with the nation with the highest advantage getting to fulfill their orders first, and so on down the line throughout the market. It is extremely beneficial to have a high advantage because it is easy for a market to run out of goods before running out of orders. So some nations lower on the priority list may not have their orders fulfilled. Trading is not entirely free either. There is a trading maintenance cost, which includes the cost of ships, wagons, caravans, laborers, the merchant's payments, and so on. Distance, sound tolls, and the number of hands the trade needs to pass through to be completed will all increase the trading maintenance cost. If the trade is profitable, then the profit is split between the estates, where you, the crown, get a share depending on how much crown power you have. High crown power, more profits. But don't worry, you can still try to claw those coins back from your estates through taxes. Speaking of taxes, taxes in EU5 are separated by estate. You can tax each estate differently, and depending on your government form or estate restrictions, some estates might not be taxable at all. The taxable income in a location is calculated by the profit from buildings, which is then split amongst the pops that make up that estate, and of course the control in that location. Control is a new system in EU5 which is vital to both your economy and to your power. Every location that you own will have a control value. That control value is calculated primarily based on the proximity to your capital or another source of authority. As the game progresses, there's many things you can do to try to increase control in your locations, such as building roads and using cabinet actions. Higher levels of control will allow you to more efficiently collect your taxes. So even if you have a 100% tax rate on an estate, but 0% control of your locations, you would not be able to collect any taxes. Something to keep in mind is that traveling across open seas can be extremely costly in terms of proximity, especially if a location does not have access to a dock, which will make it harder to maintain high levels of control in overseas territory. Traveling across the land is less costly, especially if you invest in roads. Moving along coastlines with a strong maritime presence can help you maintain high proximity much further out from your capital. Major rivers and your road networks will reduce proximity costs. As the game progresses, you will unlock new technologies which will allow you to build better roads. You can progress from early gravel and dirt paths to railroads later in the game. The control value of every location is crucial because it directly impacts how much value you could extract from that location. Taxes are not the only way to add money to your balance sheet. In EU5, you can turn silver and gold RGOs into cash through minting, at the cost of inflation, of course. From time to time, you'll want to add new currency to the market, which might mean you'll need to import gold and silver from abroad to stay afloat if you don't have access to those RGOs in your territory. With the power of the purse at your disposal, you will learn to dominate the global trade. Will you become an industrial leader, or will you set your merchants to sail the seven seas in search of riches to bring home? You can pre-order EU5 today, and if you want to read more about the economy, you can check out the accompanying developer diary linked in the description below.